Welcome back, guys. This is Indigo Moon, and it is so lovely being with you today. And thank you so much for joining us as well. So, God sees all things. And sometimes it can be a question to people. They can say, did God see this because he's not doing anything? And did he see that because somebody did this? It's almost like when your parents are reprimanding you for something that you did. They're reprimanding you for your part in it. And you say, man, did they see the other person? Did they see my brother or my sister or my cousin? Did they see this person do that? Again, God sees all things. We've all been through different experiences. Me, myself, personally, I've had people stalking me. I've had people steal money from me. Stealing inheritances, stealing property. And a lot of people, would say, well, what did you do about it? There's certain things, certain steps in which there are certain steps in which we take to do the things that we need to do on our own behalf. And sometimes people don't always understand. Sometimes people will take the proof and you're waiting and you're like, well, what's going on? Are they hearing me? Some things are going to be dealt with in time. Sometimes people will walk around and they'll say, I got away with it, and they're laughing and they're joking and they're laughing at you and they're saying, oh, she thinks she knows this and she thinks she knows everything. And sometimes they might even accuse you of showing off because you do know certain things. Growing up, I gave information to people around me. Sometimes I would give, just like most children. I remember my brother making a comment about my nephew, giving him the best advice when he was dating this girl. But he was a kid, so nobody heard him. My brother heard it, but it went in one ear and went out the other. And later on, when the girl did so much and he had to break up with the girl, he realized, man, my nephew gave me the most sound advice, and I didn't even listen. Sometimes God will have you in a place, and you'll say, man, why am I here? You want to break out, like some people who are incarcerated, like some people who are in a marriage, like some people who are in a relationship of some sort, and they feel like it's time to go. It's time to get out of this balloon that they're in. Sometimes God has you sitting there to think about your circumstances. Sometimes he'll have you there so that you can pray over the situation. Sometimes he wants you to have the conversation with him. You're thinking about it, you're keeping it in, but you're not sharing it. And sometimes these experiences are helping us so that later on we can share it with the world and teach them things that they didn't know, that maybe you knew. Years earlier, I remember growing up, my grandmother used to go and pick up these different herbs, and some people say, that's a weed, that's dandelion. I throw that out. But that dandelion was one of the healthiest things that God provided you to cleanse your system. But you threw it out. That's like life. How many people give you good sound advice and you throw it away? How many times does God teach you a lesson and you don't think about it? A lot of people take God for granted and they don't realize that he has set so many different examples for you. But you didn't see it when the person came to you and told you there was a fire in the building to get out. You didn't see it when the person told you, I wouldn't go with that person if I were you. And you went with that person and you found out what you should have found out, or what you should have listened to God in directing you. God will send different people into your life to teach you different lessons. But you don't always get the message because your mind is so focused on what you're focusing on in that moment. We're all learning. This is a life journey. And on this journey, we're learning so much. We're growing, What does Tyler say? Just miss me with the drama unless you're coming with the karma, okay? Now that song, Jump, people listen to the song and it has a good beat. But what message is it that you're trying to learn? What message is going to teach you how to grow and persevere? There are messages. Sometimes you turn on the radio and a song comes on, you don't like it, you turn the station. Some of those songs are God's direct message. And you say, why would he use, God is going to use people, examples. He's going to use so many different things in your life. Nothing is a coincidence. but you see it as a coincidence because this is what you've been taught. We're learning each and every day. I hope so. Anyway, I'm learning when I'm working on my lessons each day. I have to work on different lessons because to me, I want to learn something new every day. I love school. You say, okay, so why aren't you in it? Well, life is also a school, and there's a time and place for everything, right? We are all learning and growing. If we take these opportunities to grasp what God is teaching us and not take it as a coincidence, we'll learn so much more. Now, I'm going to tell you again, people who are in our lives are also teaching us lessons. The people who may have been gang stalking you, even the people who went ahead and used your phone against you, they're listening to your different devices. There's a person in government who is going to be fired because he was one of the individuals who thought that he could be God. He thought that by him trying to get a person to be homeless and jobless, and the person still was persevering, he didn't know quite how I was doing it. But God knew, because God was providing the opportunity and the different options. You see, people can think that they're God, but God is watching those people play that game, and those people will be handled. Although right now it looks like it's not fair that this person got away with this. It's not fair that my sister did this and is trying to be in a position of identity theft, stealing my identity and stealing this, and my aunt and my father and my... So many different examples can be left here today on this platform. But it's what we get out of the situation. It's what we get out of the lesson. What we learn from the experience. Because God is sometimes using you so that you can set the example for others. Remember, you don't have to fight, beat up a person in order to get the message out there. You don't have to beat up a person and fight in the way that they want you to retaliate to get that message through. You can also live the life that you were meant to live. And you know what? At the end of the day, we're all learning. Because just like the hurricane came and it knocked a lot of different lines down, damaged people's homes, you had a lot of people who were homeless before that. And people didn't understand how those people became homeless. We're all learning. And we're praying for those people who went through those experiences. But we're still learning from everyone. Somebody steps on your foot today and you get upset and you want to retaliate. You don't know what that person is going through as to how it is that they stepped on your foot and didn't feel it. Their mind, their focus was on something else. Whatever stress it is that everybody's going through, they will get through it with God's help. So let us remember that we need to trust in God with all that we're going through, because He will get you through to where you're going. And sometimes it's going to seem like, oh my goodness, can I make it through? You'll make it through. Just make sure that you have faith and love like you've never loved before. Love yourself first and know that God is holding your hand throughout whatever experiences you're going through. Because a lot of people say, why is she smiling? I'm smiling through it because you know what? Even when I have my bad days, I know that God is holding my hand throughout the process. So let us remember that. Thank you so much for joining us today, Indigo Moon.